everyone, my name is Glory Edozien and I'm the founder of Inspired by Glory Academy, and I'm here to share with you my psoriasis journey. I was diagnosed with psoriasis in 2002, but before then I always had psoriasis on my scalp and it just really looked like really bad dandruff, and then after a while I started having like boils on my scalp. At the time, so my dad just said, oh, let's scrape your hair, maybe you have an infection or whatever the case is. So I scraped my hair. So at that time, I just thought it was dandruff. I didn't know that there was anything called psoriasis. But then it was later on in 2002 when I started having like scabs on my thigh. And then I went to a doctor because I was like, what's this? And the doctor was like, first it looked like ringworm. So it was just like a circle that started having scaly patches inside the circle. And then the doctor told me that I have something called psoriasis. And that was in 2002, 2003. Psoriasis is an autoimmune disease. For a normal person, your skin replenishes itself once every 30 days. But for someone who has psoriasis, something happens in your body and is sending itself faulty signals. So you are replenishing your skin 2 to 3 times a day. So instead of the skin just falling off naturally, it forms on top of one another, and that's what causes sort of scaly rashes, very unsightly scaly rashes on top of your skin. And it's very itchy, it's red, and there's no cure for it. I think before psoriasis, I had clear skin. I would go to the supermarket and girls would ask me, what cream are you using, that kind of thing. People would put whatever cream I bought into their basket. I could wear short skirts, I could wear dresses, I could show off parts of my skin, just like how any normal teenager, 20-something year old girl would live. So yeah, so I was very confident in my appearance. So yeah, that's, I think in a nutshell, that's what life was like before the main psoriasis came. I think the diagnosis for psoriasis changed my life in many ways. For one, I couldn't wear skirts for over about 7 to 8 years. And then even when I started wearing skirts, by that time I was now living in Nigeria, I had to wear tights. So I looked very silly wearing skirts and tights in a hot climate. But I think one of the most profound memories I have about that time was I would go to store. There was this point in time where flowery skirts, these long flared flowery skirts used to reign. So I would go to the store, and because I couldn't buy them, because obviously I couldn't wear them, right? I would just touch the fabric of the skirt, just to feel what it was like to wear it. I don't know. Before psoriasis, I was fairly confident, but I was confident for different reasons. I was confident because of the way I felt people perceived me and the way I looked. So it knocked my confidence. I used to wear baggy clothes. I became a bit more insular, a bit more quiet. When it started, it affected me negatively, but that has changed considerably. So I received a range of treatments for psoriasis. So I think at first I started using ointments, and I used various ointments. But then because the psoriasis was very widespread, so I mean, I would go through, imagine like a tube of toothpaste, which you can use for a month. I would go through it in three days because I'm rubbing it on my thigh, on my leg, on my feet, on my back, on my arms, on my forehead. I mean, it was just ridiculous. I did something called phototherapy, which is like a lights treatment, using ultraviolet lights to treat the psoriasis. And that gave me, that burnt my skin. Imagine it. I never knew black skin could burn, but it does. So it burned my skin, so I had to stop doing that. And the doctor told me I had developed a sensitivity to lights, whatever that means. So I had to stop doing that. Then I now started taking medicine. And I was taking medicine for a few years, which helped me to sort of manage it. But then with those tablets, you have to check your liver and kidney function tests sort of every few months. And then my liver function test came back and there was an issue, so I had to discontinue the medication I was on. And then I had to start taking another medicine, which wasn't doing anything for me. So I was on that for just a very long medical journey. But now I'm on another type of medication, which is sort of an injection that is helping me to manage it. terms of alternative treatment, people don't understand how heartbreaking it is when they recommend home remedies for you and they tell you, just do this, it will work, and you do it and it doesn't work. The person is not there with you to understand the heartbreak you feel because they've built up your expectations and then it doesn't work, and you are the one that now has to deal with that sort of, oh my God, it doesn't work. And many times these home remedies come with negative effects. But one thing I remember one time was that a lot of people told me to take herbs. I should try and take herbs. So my mom and I went to Tejo Market one day because my mom was like, we must take herbs, agbo, all these things, it will help you. So we went to, I've spoken about this before, but we went to Tejo Market and there was this woman there and she's like, my customer, come. So we went and she was now mixing different things. Say, you go do this one, put on for hot water, everything. She was just giving us leaves. At this point, I just thought, okay, whatever. And then she now says, and this one are the secret ingredients. She went under her table and she brought out a dead chameleon. I'm not joking. Brought out a dead chameleon and said, this one, you go put on for inside water. You go boil, it will come scatter. When she drink her, she go just a shit. And I was thinking to my mind, of course I'm going to be pooing because I'm drinking a dead chameleon. Like, are you kidding me? So I looked at my mom and I was just like, really? Mommy, have we sunk this low? Really, is this where we are now? That we are going to be drinking dead animals to be cured? Is this where we are? So my mom was like, madam, be like, say I won't collect something from that my other customer when they come. But then what really broke my heart in that situation was there was another woman who was there and she had a baby. She was backing her baby and baby's face was covered in rashes. And I just knew that even though I wasn't buying this, this woman was going to give her child some dead whatever to drink. So that's why I always tell people, like, go and see a doctor. Like, go just know what you have first before you and sometimes people are well-meaning, so they are offering you, oh, try this, but they don't know what you have, they don't understand, they don't know the emotional heartbreak that you're going to go through. So I always tell people to just be careful. There are a few harmful treatments I've heard that people with psoriasis have tried. One of them is peeling the skin. And I've tried that myself because it is so itchy, it is so uncomfortable. It's like having a pimple that you're always like peeling, right? So I've heard some people scrape their skin with a knife. I've heard people drink their pee. I've heard, people go and take all these leaves and things. Then I've heard people do different diets and all of that. I've heard so many things, but I've not heard any natural remedy that has any supported medical proof. And for me, that's what I always look out for, and I would suggest everyone did the same. So it's tough. So at first I struggled with it, but then I think the people around me struggled with it the most. So my parents, for example, struggle. In fact, my parents still struggle with it till today. So even when sometimes I say, oh, my psoriasis, my mom will say, God forbid you don't have psoriasis. I'm like, okay, what I kind of do. But I remember one time, because my dad is a medical doctor. So my dad said that, oh, he thinks that this is onchocerciasis, was what he said he thought I had. So I went to the London School of Tropical Medicine. And the doctor looked at me, he took skin swab, they did everything, blah, 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 blah. And he said, my dear, you have psoriasis. There's nothing tropical about this. This is an autoimmune disease. And I think that was when my spirit broke. I cried in the doctor's office. In fact, the doctor came out of the room and he was like, you're an intelligent girl. Don't let this get in your way of life, all of that. But ever since that day, I stopped listening to other people, and I just said to myself, from that day, I accepted that I had psoriasis, and I just said, okay, let's deal with this thing. So psoriasis definitely affected my way of life in many ways. Like I said before, like it knocked my confidence, but then I think really the way people treated me, sometimes like you feel like, okay, personally, you are coming to that place where you're getting a bit more confident and all of that. So you go out, right? So one day I went to church and this lady came to me and she was like, you didn't do your makeup well. I was like, you know that kind of thing. As a woman, if a woman comes to meet you and tell you you do your makeup well, you'll be checking yourself. So I went to the bathroom and I was looking at my face and I kept saying, what's wrong with my makeup? I was really confused. As I went to meet her, I was like, what's it? And she's like, oh, you didn't blend your foundation. Like obviously because one part of my forehead was darker than the other side. So she must have thought I was stupid to stop my foundation halfway on my face. But yeah, so that kind of thing. Then there was a place where I used to go and do my wax. And I just noticed that every time I went there, they would keep me waiting like for a long time. Like even though if I have a 2 o'clock appointment, I get there at 2, nobody will see me till like 2:45. So one day, I vexed for them. I was like, that you're always keeping me waiting. And the woman at the receptionist now said, yes, auntie, maybe it's because nobody wants to come near you. Like I'm still remembering the shock. You know when you just think that they will just say, oh auntie, we are sorry or something like that. Just say, auntie, maybe because this thing on your skin, nobody's sure. So basically every time I came there, they were now saying, I won't touch her today, or whatever the case was. I remember I was so upset. I just, that kind of thing, you're angry but you can't even insult them. I was just like, I remember I told the woman, I said, I pray you never know anybody that is going through this and you never experience this because you don't understand the pain you have caused me today. So sometimes it's not even, I guess my point is that it's not even what you are dealing with your own internal struggle, and then you also have to deal with the way people perceive you, how maybe if you brush up against someone just by accident, they are alarmed because they don't want to catch what you have, or even just sometimes you're so uncomfortable because you are itching constantly and people can see that. Imagine going on a date with a guy and you're just itching your skin like you have lapa or something ridiculous. So you are very you're conscious of what you have, but you're also conscious of people's the way people perceive you as well. So it's like you're fighting a double battle. So yeah. Because I understand that psoriasis in itself, it can look unsightly. So obviously people want to protect themselves because they automatically think that it might be contagious. So that's the first thing I always tell people. I'm always like, look, I have psoriasis, I have this thing on my skin, but it's not contagious. You can't get it from touching me, from holding my hand. You can't get it from being in contact with me. So that's the first misconception. But I think one of the most painful misconceptions, which I still remember till now, was in secondary school. So in secondary school, I had psoriasis on my scalp, but I didn't know it was psoriasis at the time. And I remember I mentioned earlier that I now started getting boils or something on my scalp. Anyway, we had just done this biology class on funguses and bacteria and everything. So obviously people in secondary school were feeling sharp. So they now decided that what I had a fungus growing on my scalp. So girls, I was in boarding house. If I sat on somebody's bed, they would take out their mattress to go and sun it. If I was talking to somebody, people would come and grab the person away, like, don't you want to catch Glory's disease? People said I was dirty, because people just have all these assumptions. Even recently, a friend of mine at church, I had told her that she knew I had psoriasis. And then one day she saw my cousin and she was telling my cousin, oh, you need to tell Glory that she should wash her hair often. She doesn't take care of her hair. And my cousin said to her, you know that Glory washes her hair sometimes twice a week, right? She has psoriasis. And she was like, oh, really? I didn't realize that was what was on her scalp. So even people that are your friends, that know you, sometimes they just think, they have all these misconceptions that you are dirty, you don't take care of yourself, or you don't care. And, and that's not the case. And that can be very painful as well. Okay, so my parents are not going to be happy if they hear this, right? But in a roundabout way, I'm happy I had psoriasis. I say I'm happy that I had psoriasis because psoriasis made me a very different person. It made me look inwards to find out who I was inside. So now I realize that so before my validation on who I was and the kind of woman I was becoming was very based on what people thought. I wanted people to like me, I wanted people to think I was beautiful, but now I can look at the mirror myself, whether I have psoriasis or not, and I can tell myself I'm beautiful and I believe it. So I don't need outside validation as much as I did before. I think psoriasis in a way changed the course of my life. it made me want to fight for other people who have body image issues, who have visible or invisible scars, and just to let them know and be a spokesperson for them in a way, to let them know that you can have something that is terrible happen to you, but you can still live, that you are in control of your own happiness, and that, you know, even though things that are happening to you are not in your control, you are in control of your own happiness. You can decide for yourself that this is the person I want to become, and regardless of the challenges around you, regardless of everything, you are able to connect with your spirit, with who you are inside, and just live the life God intended for you. So psoriasis has taught me so many things. It's made me an emphatic person. It makes me more of a listener, because I can hear the things that people don't say, because I have had those feelings before. So I think psoriasis made me a better person. Even though I still, you know, I pray for a cure every day. I pray for God to heal me every day. You know, I feel God taught me a lot, and God's love has been so evident for me, even living with psoriasis. So for anybody that has been diagnosed with psoriasis in the past, or is just getting diagnosed with psoriasis now, my message to you would be to just know that you are beautiful. Whether you're a man or a woman, that, you know, you are not psoriasis. Psoriasis is if your life is 100%, psoriasis is 2% of your life. Like, it's not, and depending on the severity of the disease, it can feel like, I mean, I've heard of people that have tried to commit suicide because they have psoriasis, right? Because it can really affect your quality of life. But I just want you to know that even whether it's psoriasis, whatever it is, that you can still create the life you want. You have control over your happiness, and you can live the life you want. You can live a full life surrounded by people that love you, that appreciate you, that are able to see beyond whatever it is that you're going through. That there is life with or without psoriasis, that there is life. One, I wish we were better educated, and it's not their fault, especially in like Nigeria and Africa. Psoriasis is not necessarily a common disease. It's getting more common because more people are getting diagnosed, more people are going to the hospital. But a lot of people have been doing a lot of self-medication for it. So I wish there was more awareness. I wish more people knew, which is why I'm doing this today, which is why I keep sharing my story, so that more people, and each time I share my story, people come and they send me messages and like, oh, I think I have psoriasis. So I think the first thing is, if you think, with everything I've said today, if you think you know someone who has something similar, let them go and get themselves checked. Let them go to the doctor. There are dermatologists in Nigeria and Africa. So see a dermatologist, that's very, very important. Get educated about what psoriasis is. There's a lot of very helpful, non-medical information online that is very reliable. I wish people were more sympathetic, and I just wish that they treated people with psoriasis like they were human beings, you know. They knew it wasn't contagious, that they were more accepting, more supporting, and that people with psoriasis, they need confident boosters, so that they were there for them more. And also stop approaching people on the road and saying, sister, I have something for your skin. Please, just stop doing that, because you don't have anything for my skin, because you don't know what I have. So you can't know what I have for my skin. So I wish people would stop doing that. So my message to anyone going through any skin issue, whether it's psoriasis, whatever skin issue, I think the first thing I would say is make sure you go and see a doctor. So actually make sure that you are diagnosed and you know exactly what you're dealing with. Stop doing any sort of home self-help remedies, and just make sure, first of all, that you understand the medical implications of whatever skin issues you have. The second thing I would say to people is that I've been diagnosed with psoriasis now for over a decade. And at the time when I was diagnosed, I didn't think I'd be sharing my story. So all the time I was crying, all the time I thought God had abandoned me, all the time that I didn't have any confidence, you know, just going through different treatments, all of that, looking for money for treatments, whatever it was. I didn't realize that there was a purpose for all my pain, and that one day I would be sharing my story with people and encouraging people and just showing them that there is life even with psoriasis or whatever the issue is, right? So that's my plea to you. But whatever skin disease or skin issue you may have, please don't feel like it's the end of your life or the end of the world. It is just a small subset of your entire amazing life. And just realize that there will always be a purpose for the pain, and one day you'll find that purpose and you too will be encouraging someone in some way or fashion.